JK, I don't know about you, but my breath has been stolen from my lungs. Here we are standing between two of the most notorious automobiles in Shelby history, both coming to MECA Monterey in August. This is a real 427 SC Cobra, and this is a real deal 1965 GT350R Mustang. What do you think of when you see this car?
Well, for years, the GT350R has been considered to be the holy grail of collector performance Ford Mustangs, especially with the Shelby connection. But this one takes it a step farther, Bill. This is known as the Magic Mustang. This is the Shelby that's the winningest in history. A very famous driver, Charlie Kemp, ended up getting the car and actually won 17 races in a row, and noteworthy also that it went 184 miles per hour at Daytona in 1968. That's the highest speed ever recorded by a 289 Shelby.
I'll tell you a little secret, the speedometer only goes up to 160. That's magic. Now, we all know the story about how this car was born. Carroll Shelby was called by Lee Iacocca and said, hey, we have a nice little, cute little Mustang pony car, but we want to give it a little bit of an attitude, and Shelby went to work. They built street models, but the R models were really something above and beyond that. And this one represents the high watermark of Shelby performance back in 1965. What are some of the hard parts in this?
Well, the modifications to the GT350 are quite significant. Keep in mind that you start with a Mustang and then you convert it to the GT350, in itself a very stout performer. But the GT350 takes it to a different level. Never intended for street driving at all. Strictly a road race car. Some of the modifications that they did to this car was extreme weight reduction, fiberglass hood, rear bumper removed. This one happens to have actual magnesium, period correct, American racing wheels, and of course that 289 engine has been pumped up to the maximum, and the suspension has all been updated as well. A lot of modifications.
Let's take a look at that engine. Now again, the 289 was nothing new for the Mustang in 1965. But this has been Shelbyized and given a whole lot more gusto.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this engine compartment. You may not notice it. It does have heavy-duty cooling. It does have a remote oil cooler as well. And of course, that big Holly carburetor breathing through an efficient hood scoop. They were talking horsepower rating in the 325 range, but a well-prepared 289 pushed to race specs can be actually pushing out close to 400 horsepower.
3 consecutive SCCAB production championships against a host of Corvettes. One of the things people look for to see if Mustang GT350 is an R model is the apron, they call it, in the front there, that air duct that leads into the oil cooler. But this one has an orange pan in the front, and that was there for a reason.
Yeah, Charlie decided he wanted his GT350R to stand out from all the other cars in the field, so he made that treatment. And you look at old period videos and photographs, you see that car usually up front.
Yeah, one of the few man-made things you can actually see from the moon. That's how bright that is. Oh, and this too. The rear window, another R model feature. Notice the gap there between the window and the rear line there of the roof.
Yeah, that lets any air pressure in the car have a chance to exit out. Again, looking for every edge to make these cars go fast. Take a look inside.
Yep, and as you can see, this is not a car that would be easy to live with on the street. This is all race car all the way.
Yeah, completely businesslike. And what's nice about this car, Bill, is what you're looking at is an interior that would have been identical to the way that it left the Shelby American facility. You see no glove box door, all Shelby badged aftermarket gauges, and that signature wood steering wheel. So cool.
Yeah, racing bucket seat and a roll bar, of course, totally boy racer. And I just wanted to mention the paint scheme on this car because I love this story. You know, Pete Brock, one of the real foundational associates of Carroll Shelby in the beginning, was given the task of giving the GT350 some personality. And Pete always says how the easiest way to give a car personality is paint because it's cheap to do. So he designed these beautiful Le Mans stripes and the rocker panel stripes as well. And when you use the word iconic, that definitely applies to the paint on these cars.
Indeed.
All right. Hey, let's go over and take a look at this 427 SC.
So Bill, have been a Cobra guy for your entire life. You're standing obviously in the presence of only 29 427 Shelbys that were built with that SC, that semi competition package. What do you think?
Yeah, these cars right here were intended to be competition cars, race cars. But the Reader's Digest version is that Shelby didn't build enough of them to make them legal to run in the GT class. So rather than just have them sitting around, the idea came along for them to take the race cars and turn them basically into street cars. Hence the name Semi Competition, sometimes called street competition too. But that doesn't diminish the fact that these are really raw-boned sports cars through and through.
Compared to the early Cobras, dating back to the early 1960s, the 427 cars have a different look. Why is that?
Well, they had to widen the cars, first of all, to put the 427 in here. And they also have independent suspension. That was a first for the Cobra in 1965 when they went to the 427. But the competition aspect of this car, the attitude of a race car, comes through and through with the riveted hood scoop. The leading edge of the hood is riveted, of course, the side exhaust, the roll bar. It's got jack pads at both ends of the car, which were used in the pits when these were raced to get the cars up to change the tires quickly. And the engine underneath the hood here is something that certainly deserves our attention. There is the FE Series 427 solid lifter medium riser engine, about 450 to 500 horsepower. Some of them dual quads. This one has a single 4-barrel with what they call a turkey pan. It's kind of like a primitive air inlet for the Ram Air style hood. And it is an engine that had great durability. We know that they ran in NASCAR. They're very rugged engines. And as you can see, the restoration on this one right here is just impeccable. JK, we've had Shelbys come to the Mecum auction block before, some very famous ones. I can't remember the last time we had an original SC and an original R model, and they're both coming to Mecum Monterey in August.
You know, Bill, you're right. You're the Cobra guy, I'm the Mustang guy, but we're both Shelby guys. And what's great about this pair is they honestly represent the absolute best examples. The fact that both of them are here together, we're gonna see both of these cross the auction block at Mecum Monterey. Man, I'm really excited about it.
Okay, let's race.